It is Wednesday, May 8th, 2019. It is 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and so you know what time it is. It's time for a little bit of coin metal. And it was a very fun get your ass kicked at Jiu-Jitsu Wednesday. I actually kind of got in there a little bit late, so unfortunately I didn't get 100% on my warm-up. But nonetheless, I was warm by the time I left. My last opponent for the last 5-minute round was very, very spirited. Although I found out he's very, very top dominant. He loves to get up on the top. But here was the thing, is that I was able to kind of renegotiate my position under him pretty much every single time. So it's like we'd switch positions, he'd get on top, he'd be in a kind of a transitional period, so I would just hang back for a second, and as soon as I felt he was moving towards action, I'd start readjusting my position, and so by the time he was actually going into his submission, I was on top. And yeah, that's pretty much the way it went. And it's funny because I could tell right when to push, because I'm listening to his breathing, and as good as he is, and he is good, I did pick a blue belt to roll with, and he's actually got a stripe on me. So anyway, I could tell his breathing. You know, it's like when he would get just a little bit tired, he'd really start to push for that submission. You know, he'd be on top, and it's like, oh man, you know, you get tired of trying to negotiate around it, and he would just settle on one, start pulling me into position, and then by the time, like I said, by the time he had me in position, I was already on top of him and working towards my own. And as a matter of fact, the last position we ended up in, I'd managed to flip him in, I think it was like the last 15 or so seconds of the round, and I managed to assume back control on him and was getting ready to try and wrench that arm loose for like an arm bar, or maybe even go for that choke, one of the two. As far as what we were covering as far as material goes, we did this really neat transition from the zipper choke on over to it's kind of a, how should I say it? It's not a zipper choke. It's more a more a bow and arrow choke, because like you get the back position right, and you feed the gi on the one side, and you get a really good grip on that. And you want to, I found out you really want to have that one kind of high up, but you want the one on top, you want it to be like the free arm. Or actually, I think you want it to be the closed arm. So you want to roll over onto the arm that you have the gi with, and then you take your leg, the opposite leg, and you put that up on their hip, right? And you kind of push down while you're doing the zipper choke. I mean, I suppose it is a zipper choke because you're doing the same motions with your hands, but that additional kind of tweak, jumping up there on the side of their hip and pushing there for leverage. I really like the way that closes out that choke. It puts just the right amount of pressure that, you know, there's no getting out of that. You're gonna tap. I mean, if you don't, you're definitely gonna have to work on the leg first. You know, work on the weakest link, and then try and progress from there. And that's kind of my technique with regard to getting out of like negative positions. Usually it only takes something as simple as a hip adjustment, you know, where you hop your hip up over their foot or something like that if they've got your back, where you can try and readjust your position and maybe get to something a little better, you know, like a side control or some such. Anyway, let's get on into our music. And you know, we have not played any Body Count as our first dance in a little bit, so I think that's where I want to go with it, because I'm just feeling it, man. Bloodlust, First Dance, here on Coin Metal. And that was Killing Joke with Delete. My apologies, I didn't want to let it run that far, but had to make some mental adjustments, if you will. Anyway, I caught this thing on my Twitter feed, and it kind of set me back, kind of laughing here. the author here, Crypto Gains, says, my argument for birth control. And Rand Neuner says, the Binance hack shows that XRP is better than Bitcoin. Here's why. Number one, Binance hackers would have paid less than $69 to make the $41 million transfer if they used XRP. Number two, unlike with Bitcoin, CZ could have called someone at Ripple and they would have reversed the ledger. To which I replied, in cryptocurrencies, mutability is a bug, not a feature. And that's the truth. And as a matter of fact, that's one of the things that's been bumbling around my feed today is CZ talking about some sort of reorg for to get his money back. Apparently they were hacked for 7,000 Bitcoin. And I saw some smell on it earlier. It seemed to indicate it was something to do with a social engineering hack. Now, I've said this multiple times that usually the issues with cryptocurrencies themselves and with exchanges has been in fact social engineering, and it's a big element behind all of the hacks. They email you something that looks legitimate, you answer it and saying, oh my god, what's going on with my bank account? And they get your bank account information and so on. Or worse yet, the attacker, will get your name from somewhere else. Like they'll look on LinkedIn and find out where you are on there. And they'll find out different things like what companies you're involved with, what your employment history is, depending on what level of access they actually have. And if they can attribute any kind of services or any products to you in particular, as in something you own, then it's just a matter of calling up that individual or the individuals that make it or service whatever it may be. So say it's you use AT&T and you happen to indicate that. Okay, now they've got your name, your general location, and AT&T. So they could call an AT&T customer service saying they're you, give a general vicinity of where their service area is, and so on and so forth. If you've added things like an address, they would give the customer service agent your address. And that would give them an additional layer of legitimacy on the conversation with the customer service agent. Now, I used to do customer service. As a matter of fact, that was my last quote-unquote hourly job, was doing that for AT&T. And I can tell you from my own experience that your data is in trouble. And this is not a kick on anybody that I worked with, because I'll tell you what, I told them all about info security. I set expectations for my coworkers, going, you did what? No, you never do that, blah, 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 and kind of rectified the situation. But in any case, the point being is there's the situation. Okay, let me break it down for you. The people work 40 hours a week plus. They're usually not compensated much beyond their hourly wage, unless they're getting the pressure from their boss to do sales instead of customer service. So like, you'll call up for one thing, you'll be like, oh yeah, there's some fuck up on my bill, can you help me fix that? And you'll walk away with a new phone and a new 2-year agreement with them, because they're pressured to act as salespeople, and they're incentivized to act as salespeople. This is one of the reasons why they are paid jack shit. And so they kind of wing you around, and next thing you know, you've got a full meal deal for, you've got full dish service or fucking direct TV or something like that. and you've got a service personnel coming out to your house on Wednesday at 8 a.m. to take care of it, to install it. But that's part of the process, right? So anyway, these people, they have minimal testing as far as substances. So some of them actually have substance abuse issues, and they're not really getting paid a whole lot per hour. And if they're kind of honest, such as myself, they focus on customer service and trying to resolve the customer service issue as best they possibly can, while only barely hinting at trying to get a sale out of it. I just held a great deal of disdain for that. See, if I call a customer service agent, I want customer service. I don't want fucking sales. I don't want some asshole pitching me shit while I'm trying to figure out why there's $300 additional on my motherfucking bill that I can't account for. Because I didn't play those video games. I did not spend that in-game cash. I don't have children. What the fuck is going on? And so those are the kinds of issues that we had to deal with. So now you got this person. They're under a great deal of stress from their boss because their sales are shit, because they're kind of honest, but they happen to have a little bit of technological aptitude, and all of a sudden they get called by, say, I don't know, Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan's having some problem with his phone, and this person gets all of Joe Rogan's information, or at least gets access to it. So things like bank account routing numbers, bank account numbers, what do you call them? Credit card numbers, expiration dates, security codes. And next thing you know, Joe Rogan's paying for some vacation in Las Vegas, and he doesn't know until he gets back from Uganda or wherever the fuck he's hunting. And, because they don't have cell phone service in the middle of the bush, Uganda. And, he finds out that he just got wrecked, that somebody put $12,000 on his fucking credit card while he was, out there chasing after some ox or something. And this shit happens all the time because, again, these people don't have a whole lot of money. They're not getting paid worth a shit. And yet they get this access to the, oh shit, Joe Rogan's got a 6-figure fucking bank account. No problem, man. He's not gonna notice this. Just a little bit, just a little here and there. Next thing you know, drinks are on me. It happens, and the reason it happens is because AT&T, this huge fucking multi-billion-dollar fucking company, has more money than they know what to fucking do with. They insist on taking one of the most critical positions possible in their entire structure, their interface, their human interface between their customers and the company that is most likely to be addressed. They take this critical position and they hand it off to a third party, who then hands it off to you and pays you $9 an hour for it, and doesn't give you medical or dental or child care or any of that other bullshit. And you get Joe Rogan, multi-millionaire fucking media producer, on the other line. The temptation is there. I'm just saying, the temptation is there. Maybe it's just he's late on rent. Or he's got to wait another 2 weeks and his check's already gone. It could start off as something like that. Next thing you know, it's like he's passing by Best Buy and, that's a nice $2,000 OLED television. I don't think Joe would mind. And there it is. But this is the situation that's created in our workforce or our workspace today. And this is throughout the customer service sector, that they're handing it off to people that are barely getting fucking minimum wage. They hardly bother to train them on anything about social engineering. And then some apt attacker calls up posing as somebody they're not, but somebody who has a significant bank account or so on and so forth, and they wreck them. Because this huge chink in the fucking armor exists because AT&T can't be bothered to pay people $20 an hour and hire only their own people to handle customer service and make sure those people have medical, maybe child care. No, they can't be bothered with that because it's not important enough. Well, it's only because people aren't holding them to account. I mean, knowing what you know now, just of what I've said, of their operations, I've not given a specific example that's actually happened, but I've outlined for you the type of incidents that happen all the time. When people are talking about social engineering attacks, that's exactly what they're talking about. Somebody calling up saying, hey, I'm Colonel Sanders, and I'm having a lot of trouble with my cell phone bill, and I need you to help me out. And 9 times out of 10, they can get the customer service agent to give them articles of information that they did not previously have. And while they might not be effective for making the attack complete there, they might open up other places for attack. So like maybe the customer service agent discloses where you do your banking. They don't get as far as the banking routing number and the credit card number or any of that bullshit. But where you do your banking. Oh man. Now I've got another customer service agent that I can talk to and convince that I'm Colonel Sanders and get me my money. Now, I know it's a little more difficult than I'm talking about, and I will say this, that since I got out of customer service, there has been a notable increase with regard to the average competency of the customer service agent that I'm talking to. Now, that's just my experience, and that was with a bank and probably with a actual teller as opposed to a quote-unquote customer service agent. There used to be that bad habit that places like Microsoft and Amazon had where they would hire customer service agents in India, and you call them and you can't hear them over the din in the background, and their accent is so thick that you can't understand them. That was kind of the way to skirt any kind of accountability. But I believe that the social engineering element that I'm talking about is going to become a big enough issue for enough people to be calling their Congress people or their legal representatives or somebody and thrown an utter fit. Because I've noted this, and I've said this a lot on the show, that they put this big priority on gathering the information, and like securing it is an afterthought, and that is just wholly unacceptable. You wouldn't accept that in the military. Why are you going to accept it for your fucking bank account? One of those two has a greater impact on your life, unless of course you're actually a soldier, then it doubly does so. Anyway, speaking of credit cards, I got this article here on Zero Hedge, and let's get into it. Dystopian approach. SEC blesses MasterCard's idea of cutting off customers with right-wing views. This is by Tyler Durden, 5/7/2019 at 10:33. Blocking payments to individuals or groups by financial service firms impedes freedom of speech in a free society, journalist Ben Swan has told RT following reports that MasterCard is allegedly on course to censor the far right. The New York-based firm is reportedly being forced by left-leaning liberal activists to set up an internal, quote, human rights committee that would monitor payments to, quote, white supremacist groups and anti-Islam activists. Quote, the problem is that everyone has their own views, and in a free society, The idea of a free society is that you are free to have your belief systems as long as you're not harming anyone else physically, Swan told RT America. Quote, but your belief system belongs to you, and you have the right to be wrong. White supremacists have the right to be wrong. And I've heard it said that the First Amendment is not meant to protect liked speech, but disliked speech. MasterCard is not the only holder of purse strings that is mulling the selective banning of individuals from their services and funds. Patreon and PayPal have previously barred individuals from receiving payments using their platforms due to their extreme views. But, unlike crowdfunding platforms, being cut off from one of the leading American multinational financial services corporations will most likely have a much greater impact on the financial stability of an individual or a group, especially after the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission reportedly blessed MasterCard's undertaking. By doing this, Swan believes the government granted, quote, big corporations the ability to control what voices are heard. The issue with such an approach, the investigative journalist argues, would lead to a wider crackdown on financial payments to anyone who the government would see as unfavorable. Quote, the fact that the SEC has given a green light to this essentially says that the SEC supports the idea of censoring these groups in order to freeze out essentially anyone you don't agree with, the journalist said. It is such a dystopian 1984 worldview, and yet we're living through it right now, the journalist observed. Oh wow, there's a lot of comments on this one. Let's check them out really quick here. Solutions Are Obvious says, this is just one more reason to cancel the entire federal government. States should cancel their contract with the federal government. It's called secession. The entirety of the Gov is counterproductive and has been for at least the last 50 years. Multiple states need to get together and pull the trigger on leaving simultaneously. Many others will follow their lead. Corporations need their rules changed to where they can't discriminate against anyone for routine services. No, I don't agree with that, dude. This includes banking, social media sites, and media in general, etc. If they keep pushing, there's going to be a reaction, and it's likely to be violent. Keep pushing people who have harmed no one, and sooner or later they will declare enough and push back with a vengeance. I believe there could be a pushback there. And Fox Mulder says, I'd bet that in the background you will find the Southern Poverty Law Center giving the SEC advice as to whom they think should be cut off from using MasterCard. The SPLC has already been working with PayPal and other credit services in cutting off services to those it deems as anti-hate groups or sites. The major problem with this is that the SPLC is the biggest hate group going today. It hates anyone or organization that speaks the truth about Islam. They also target conservative groups, and I'm aware of a number of sites like Bare Naked Islam and the Pam Sellers site Atlas Shrugs that were also cut off from using PayPal as a means of being funded. As for Southern Poverty Law Center, it's anything but poor. It gets plenty of funds from the likes of George Soros and other anti-conservative outlets. That's kind of interesting. We're going to step off of the SPLC. You know, I don't know enough about them, but I've heard a lot of negative things. Yeah, let's see here. The next one is Brutus the Anti-Federalist. Cards make money two main ways. Number one, by charging a fee for each transaction, and number two, by charging a very high interest rate to the card holder. So first, pay off the card. A borrower is the slave to the lender. Next, minimize the use of credit cards. You will save every vendor 2 to 3%. You will be amazed at how much more frugal you will become when you have to part with, although worthless paper, cash. Carry big bills, as you will be less likely to break 100 on an impulse. You will not be tracked on cash purchases either, especially if you give a fake phone number. And he gives a fake phone number. When it gets bad enough, an alternative will arise. Actually, it got bad enough a decade ago, and Bitcoin came, and so now we're here. Giant says, time to invest in alternatives. Couple of microsatellites for international communication is all it needs. Land bases in countries that don't criminalize encryption rest in the internet. Offices with cash in large crossroads, SWIFT becomes obsolete. One could do this infrastructure with roughly $10 million. One already has to queue to get cash. Customers would be happy to join. I think so too. I think there is enough cash-based liquidity out there that you could maintain a decent-sized economy with it. Let's see here. Here we go. King Friday the 13th says, Are communist groups considered extreme? That's all you need to know. Bingo, of course not according to the MC, and that's Libs or Nuts says that. Let's see. Fairy Dust. The first organization they pulled this on needs to sue, and sue big, and everyone from the ACLU to the Rotary Club needs to support them. Yeah. Vegan says, though, ACLU has been infiltrated by SJWs. It was a good organization when they defended civil liberties for everyone, even assholes. Now they pick sides, and only those who hold, quote, correct views are entitled to having their civil liberties protected and defended. Dangerous times. Yeah. Well, I think we've marched far enough down the road to 1984. There's like 400 comments on this thing. And because it's a round number, I would strongly suggest it's the product of them limiting it. But anyway, I wanted to mention this one because, and I think I've got it open in a tab somewhere, although I'm not entirely sure. Let me check out here. Milo, whatever. Do Milo, and it ought to come up. Milo, blah, blah, blah. Let's do news. Here we go. Maybe. Under siege first comments about... maybe. And let's see. Milo Coinbase. Yeah, there's this thing where I guess Milo Yiannopoulos is having some issues with his Coinbase account. And there have already been kind of calls to delete your Coinbase account, and I'm trying to find here we go. This is on yahoo.com. Bitcoin Bros' silence to Coinbase ban of Milo Yiannopoulos is deafening. This is authored May 8th, 2019 by Samantha Chang. So no penis. By CCN. Oh no, girl, we can't be giving you credit for somebody else's shit. Let me see if I can actually, there we go. Yeah, this is originally on CCN, but it is by Samantha Chang. My apologies. By CCN, Bitcoin evangelists' silence in the face of Coinbase banning gay Jewish conservative Milo Yiannopoulos is deafening. The refusal to condemn the ban undercuts the myth of crypto as a foil to traditional banking institutions. If anything, Bitcoin Bros' collective silence suggests that the crypto community is little more than a cheap knockoff of the corrupt financial establishment they brag that they're rebelling against. Yeah, okay. Bitcoin exchange Coinbase banned Milo Yiannopoulos in 3 minutes. On May 3rd, Milo said he was banned within 3 minutes of trying to open an account on Coinbase, the largest cryptocurrency exchange in the United States. No reason was given. Moreover, Coinbase has yet to return CCN's emails and calls for comment on this story. Obviously, Coinbase is a business and has the right to ban whomever it wants, but a leading crypto exchange banning a man simply for his political beliefs has shades of tech totalitarianism. Coinbase ban follows Chase Bank's purge of conservatives. Yiannopoulos is a controversial British media personality who was a former editor at Breitbart. He has been branded a, quote, far-right extremist by the left-wing media for condemning political correctness. To be clear, many people find Milo obnoxious and offensive, including this writer. But to deplatform a non-violent individual simply for his political beliefs is laughable and tragic. Coinbase's ban of Yiannopoulos mirrors a similar draconian censorship being promulgated by Chase Bank. In February 2019, Chase suspended the account of Iraq war veteran Joe Biggs without notice or explanation. His apparent crime was that he was a vocal Trump supporter. After about an hour and a half on the phone, I wasn't able to talk to anybody and get a clear reason as to why they closed my account, Biggs told One American News correspondent Jack Posobiec. Amid heavy backlash on social media and a barrage of phone calls from outraged veterans, Chase later offered to restore Biggs' account, but by then, he decided to take his business elsewhere. Chase also suspended the bank account of Jewish conservative activist Laura Loomer, who has been banned from PayPal, Facebook, Twitter, and from ride-sharing services Lyft and Uber. Facebook banned Milo in a mass purge of conservatives. As CCN reported in April of 2019, Milo Yiannopoulos was banned from Facebook during the social media monopoly's mass purge of conservatives. Others who were banned include InfoWars founder Alex Jones, former InfoWars editor Paul Joseph Watson, Jewish activist Laura Loomer, conservative commentator Faith Goldie. So who's next? And why is the cryptocurrency community now hopping on this tech censorship? Now hopping on this tech censorship of conservatives. Isn't that antithetical to what crypto is supposed to be all about? And if Milo Yiannopoulos is too dangerous and extreme to be allowed to buy Bitcoin, then why is the Palestinian terrorist group Hamas allowed to beg for Bitcoin donations on Facebook and Twitter, where they foment violence and recruit other terrorists? Quote, send Bitcoin. Palestinian Islamist group Hamas begs for crypto donations amid crippling sanctions. And that's a actual link that we might follow up. Republicans are more pro-Bitcoin than Democrats. The comical irony of the left-wing crypto ban is that Republicans are far more pro-Bitcoin than liberal Democrats who want to regulate crypto into the ground. Quote, Trump's threat to eliminate due process is a threat to confiscate the assets and freedom of citizens while denying the legal recourse to prove citizenship. There is no perfect defense against tyranny, but having assets that are resistant to confiscation helps cryptocurrency. And that was by Ari Paul. Number 2, with Trump running a deficit massively, asset forfeitures from convicted Trump family and friends is maybe how he intends to subsidize government operations. And that was by Ari Paul again. While influential Bitcoin bros constantly pump Bitcoin to boost its trading price, it would be nice if they also promoted an open, non-discriminatory crypto community. Quote, Bitcoin doesn't care about your politics, religion, or technical analysis. And that's by Pomp. Quote, the U.S. government shut down. No matter how hard someone tried, they would never be able to shut down Bitcoin, shut down the Bitcoin network. Bitcoin doesn't care about your politics. And that was by Pomp. And the last one is, reminder, Bitcoin doesn't care about your politics. Pomp. So yeah, here, Jules says, and this is in the comments section, oof, now we hear more ignorants cry about how their rights are being violated by the left, etc. More vomiting up of conspiracy theories. Who cares? The people got banned are bigots and incite negativity. So again, who cares? Yeah, fuck you, bitch. Maybe one day somebody will consider what you just said very offensive and decide that you need to be silenced. You need to be deplatformed and you need to be banned from Coinbase. We'll see how you feel about it then. Let's see, Lewis Solomon says, it's funny that everything liberals cry out against, they are actually perpetrating. Liberals destroy everything they can get their hands on, including countries, obviously. That's kind of interesting, but let's see here. I like this one. This is by Monkey Tipping. Coinbase does not equal Bitcoin. Coinbase is just an exchange. Its actions shouldn't have an impact on Bitcoin's reputation any more than E-Trade's action should have an effect on Google or Amazon. I agree with that. And Bubba says, this is a very slippery slope. Oh my goodness, aren't you correct? Let's see here. Brian Gutler says, new social platform going live before the end of May. How do? No banning because of beliefs. You control your content/data, not the platform, like Facebook selling your data. It takes the best of Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. How do is going to fly. Possibly. And Joe V says, this is moronic. Coinbase is an exchange, a place for trading and storing Bitcoin. It really has little to do with Bitcoin itself. Ideally, exchanges like Coinbase will ultimately go away or fade into the background for those who don't want to store their Bitcoin. If Milo wants, he can get Bitcoin just about anywhere else. Just another clickbait meaningless article. And there you have it. There you have it, kids. The problem with Coinbase is that they're big and they're pretty easy to use. However, they are not the only means for transacting from Bitcoin to US dollars or otherwise. And so the idea that one needs an account with Coinbase to effectively do this is pretty stupid. See, I wanted to note this because the fact of the matter is, and I keep coming back to it, is that cryptocurrencies don't need organizations such as Coinbase to allow for the facilitation of a transaction from one person to another. All you need is a wallet. If Milo wants to get paid in Bitcoin or other cryptocurrency, all he has to do is post a QR code for a fucking wallet, and hopefully a non-custodial one this time, Milo or Milo or whatever the fuck your name is, and receive the funds directly to the wallet. Forget about Coinbase, forget about any other exchange in getting the Bitcoin into your hands. But then again, there is the issue of exchanging it for another currency or service or good that you want. And that's a lot easier to do after you've liberated yourself from the need for an exchange such as Coinbase. They might make the app to where it seems to work really quick and all that, but there's nothing different between their transactions and your transactions as far as the way they're treated on the Bitcoin network. Now, of course, theirs will probably go through quicker, but that's only because they can afford to pay a much bigger fee than you can. But that issue goes away when you have bigger blocks, because then you have enough room for both yours and Coinbase's transaction. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw it back down into some music. And as far as where to go, there's a little bit of Tool playing. I'm alright with Tool, but that's not really where I want to go. So let's go with something new by Overkill. And here we go. Believe in the Fight, here on Coin Metal. And that was Rivers of Nile with A Silent Life. Anyway, wanted to get into a couple other things, kind of attaching and inbred into what we're talking about today. And I'm trying to find all of the tabs, man. I get buried in them. It's the only problem that I have with multi-tabbed browsing is I tend to stack them up. You know, it's like, oh man, I really want to read that, and I really want to, oh no, I really want to read this one. And I never get around to them, you know, because it's all the way in the back, you know, and for whatever reason, I just never get around to them. Anyway, we're going to start off with this one. And I don't know how related it is, but I think it's an interesting thing because way back in the day, there was this push to get some altcoins to adopt SegWit, just like Bitcoin did. And there are several that said no to that. But one of them that was kind of forced to say yes was Syscoin. And it was pretty much their devs just said, you know, if it's not a SegWit transaction, it's spam, so we're just not going to include it. Anyway, continuing on, here it is. Syscoin, suspicious blockchain activity unrelated to Binance trading anomaly. Syscoin explains what happened on its blockchain on Tuesday. And this is by Wher Varshni. And let's check something really quick here. Notes about the author. Come on. Oh, just giving me stories by them. Damn it. I usually like it if they have it like a description of the person. Anyway. Wher, I'm just going to say no penis, because I don't know. Anyway, continuing. Syscoin cryptocurrency saw a series of odd patterns on its blockchain on Tuesday. After a detailed investigation, the company has now offered an explanation of what transpired that day. Quote, Syscoin blockchain has not been hacked or compromised in any way, Syscoin team said in a document sent to Hard Fork. Quote, what took place on July 3rd was a combination of events that made the situation more sensational than it needed to be. The situation first escalated after some users noticed that the network processed blocks with output values larger than Syscoin's entire token supply, raising suspicions that the blockchain might have been compromised. At the same time, it was discovered that one Sys unit is trading for 96 Bitcoin, $694,560 at the time of writing, on cryptocurrency exchange desk Binance. Given how closely these two events occurred, there were speculations that these were correlated, but Syscoin team now explains that this wasn't the case. The large output value blocks came due to miners' policy. More than a week ago, Syscoin released a mandatory update to fix a governance superblock fee calculation bug for its masternodes, miners, and software client. July 3rd was the last date for the... July 3rd? What? July 3rd was the last date for miners and others to upgrade to the new version. If they didn't, they couldn't be mining anymore. The large miners that upgraded to the new version set higher fees above the usual rate, and the smaller miners were left picking up transactions when they won a block at a lower fee. This led to hundreds of transactions bunched up in large output value blocks. While Syscoin says this is expected behavior, they did notice some suspicious activity. A wallet with 46 million sys, which Syscoin started sending withdrawal requests during this period. A wallet with 46 million sys, which Syscoin started sending withdrawal requests during this period. Okay. This withdrawal chained as unconfirmed transactions on the blockchain and quickly added up to a large amount, possibly resulting in either of the two largest blocks we saw. This is when the Syscoin team decided to ask exchanges to temporarily halt sys trading on their platforms. Bittrex and Poloniex immediately complied, but Binance tried to identify the problem first. The Syscoin team says that once their investigation concluded, the unusual activity did not originate from a glitch in its blockchain. It went on to ask exchanges to resume the trading of sys. This is where things get interesting. While the Syscoin team chalks up the anomaly with the unusually large blocks to its recent software update, the company said it has no knowledge what could have caused the odd trading activity on Binance. Binance reset its API keys following the incident. Syscoin points out that Binance users reported 7,000 Bitcoin were moved out of the exchange at the same time as the unusual trading of its coin. It also states that some users in its community reported that their Bitcoin balances on Binance were negatively affected at this time. However, the company said that it can't verify if the two activities were related. It is worth noting that while Binance has acknowledged its role in the Syscoin debacle and launched a user security fund in response, it hasn't given any details on how the unusual trading of Syscoin actually happened. We've contacted Binance, but no representatives were available for comment at the time of writing. It's time Binance speaks out. Terribly, terribly interesting. $643,000 Bitcoin. I wonder how that happened. This is very, very, very interesting. And I'm looking at the transaction here. It's total received to this, let's see, sent to an address, and it looks like a legacy address too. 7,016 or 19 Bitcoin, and the fee for that was 0.00728839 Bitcoin. Terribly interesting. Ooh, and it looks like it was also withdrawn from the same address, and pretty much the exact amount minus the fee. Yeah, that is really interesting, and I don't know how that's actually connected to the hack, or if it is, but we'll find out. This is on Binance's website. Oh, I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Apparently, that was an old thing. I thought it might have been this Syscoin thing. It doesn't give me a date on it, and so I just followed it up. But apparently this one is really, really old, so we really shouldn't have even bothered with that. But it was incident recap on irregular sys trading, blah, 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 Binance 10 months ago. And irregular trades were detected from a number of API users, triggering our internal risk management system. As such, Binance made a timely decision to suspend trading, withdrawals, and other account functions. I saw somebody complaining. I guess they're still having some issues that they're still down. But anyway, I wanted to get past that. I thought I was looking for a specific thing with regard to the Binance hack, and that's how we came across that one article. Anyway, here it is. This is on ccn.com. Binance hacked. Bitcoin exchange suffers $40 million security breach. And this is on 5/7/2019 by Geraldine Turzo. And so I'm going to assume no penis. By CCN, Binance, the number one cryptocurrency exchange based on trading volume, has been hacked. Zhangpeng CZ Zhao, who was at the helm of the exchange, made the announcement on Twitter after previously sharing that, quote, unscheduled server maintenance was unfolding. The Binance CEO tweeted that, quote, it was not the best of days. As it turns out, it was much worse than imagined, with hackers getting away with 7,000 Bitcoin. That's weird. Hold on a second. That's why that came up. Oh, let's see here. Hold on. Undo close tab. Undo close tab. That's why this thing came up. This other transaction, let's see. In this other hack, let's see, the hack was on 7/3/2018. It was for 7,000 Bitcoin as well. That's why it came up. Holy shit. What is the likelihood that they would have got hit for 7,000 Bitcoin, not once, but twice? That's very odd. Anyway, continuing on. As it turns out, it was much worse than imagined, with hackers making away with 7,000 Bitcoins, with, at the current BTC prices, worth approximately $40 million. The funds were stolen from Binance's hot wallet, which comprised 2% of the exchange's Bitcoin holdings. Binance issued the following statement, quote, we have discovered a large-scale security breach today, May 7th, 2019, at 5/15/2014 or 1715/24. Hackers were able to obtain a large number of user API keys, 2FA codes, and potentially other info. The hackers used a variety of techniques, including phishing, viruses, and other attacks. We are still concluding all possible methods used. There may be additional affected accounts that we have not yet identified. Quote, not the best of days, but we will stay transparent. Thank you for your support, blah, blah, blah. The glass half full is that Binance has a SAFU fund, which is a secure asset fund for users. The fund was designed for situations like this unfortunate one, and the exchange made the following statement, quote, Binance will use the SAFU fund to cover this incident in full. No user funds will be affected. They begged for users' understanding as all deposits and withdrawals are currently suspended for the next week. Quote, we must conduct a thorough security review. The security review will include all parts of our systems and data, which is large. We estimate that this will take about 1 week. We will post updates frequently as we progress. No time is a good time for a hack. Binance's hack is a major setback for the exchange and for Bitcoin, which has been beginning to come into its own. The Bitcoin price was finally hitting a stride in 2019, and now the crypto market has been rocked by Binance's largest security breach ever. Actually, it's the same as their other one. The Bitcoin exchange is in the middle of unveiling its decentralized exchange, and all eyes have been on Binance. CZ's transparent and immediate communication with users and the broader crypto community didn't go unnoticed, where investors were relieved more than ever that Binance uses SAFU. As fate would have it, Binance has an AMA scheduled for May 8th with CZ. It's that time again. CZ will be hosting a live Periscope AMA, oh my god, on May 8th, 3 a.m. UTC. Leave us your questions in the comments below. Let's see the comments. Monkey's Paradise says, why would nobody understand the simple yet iron rule of crypto? Not your keys, not your coins. Exchanges like Binance, Coinbase, Kraken are the main reason we don't see adoption. I would disagree with that. They are the main point where we see issues with trust. But the fact of the matter is that these are not trust issues born of Bitcoin itself. What it should show you is that people value it enough to try and steal it. And not just a little bit of it, a lot of it. But you have to ask yourself where the origin of the theft, or the wrecked in this case, actually came from. And, you know, they talk about phishing and social engineering and all that other business and hacking. But I've outlined on this show in no uncertain terms how these people go about getting the information. As a matter of fact, I've done it a little bit on this show. What you have to understand about social engineering attacks is they're often multifold. That they're addressing more than one customer service agent for more than one article of information. And it's a bit like jiu-jitsu, where, you know, at least the way I practice it, where every inch that you gain is 1 inch that you do not give back to your opponent. And eventually you're going for complete compromise of their defenses and access to the submission. And the submission itself. But it's the same with social engineering attacks on a targeted individual. And that's one of the reasons why, personally, I am all for breaking lines of custody. And what does that mean? It means make up information. Lie to them. They aren't playing fair out there, kids. If you haven't figured it out by now, you really should. They are not playing fair, and there is no reason why you have to be an easy target. Break lines of custody. Make up bullshit data where you can. And, you know, don't ever save a fucking password. You're just asking for somebody to just, like, if they actually manage to compromise your system or compromise your email or something like that, forget about it, man. They compromise your Gmail account, forget about it. What will invariably happen after that is that everything that is associated with that account is going to get compromised. Your 2FA keys, your fucking bank account if you've got it tied into that. Everything. And not just on one device. Any device that you have that account associated to, yeah, you're going to pwn that too. But it's because, again, every inch taken is one that is not going to be given back until they've got all the information. And they're not even going to give it back then. They'll probably sell it to somebody else so they can do the same thing to you later on. Because there's only so much of your information you can change if you don't go through the measures and the steps to beef it up. Well, like I said, they're not playing fair, and there's no reason you should either. You got to protect yourself. This is the digital age, and there are more than enough ways where you can put just little bitty little factors that are going to make it to where if somebody is trying to compromise your accounts, that they will contact you and they'll be like, yo, dude, is this you? Is this you trying to change your fucking phone number to, 818-956-4393? And you're like, no, that's not me. No, that's not my phone number. That's somebody else's phone number. You need to no, that I don't live in Afghanistan. I live in, Yonkers, New York. And, fuck you. Don't give them my information. Don't give them my banking information. And if you have already, I'm going to sue your We have to start holding these people liable for their access and their use of our information. It's just too frequent that one little bit, that customer service agent, sure, it's a low-skilled job in the actual skills department, but it does require a little bit of aptitude. It does require a brain between the shoulders there. And if you're hiring people that are short that, you're going to continue to see these kind of attacks. You know, I consider Microsoft owning GitHub to be a major security risk. Microsoft has shown multiple times that they don't play fair either. And so allowing them that kind of access and that kind of control over code that people have for their projects, I think it's a significant threat consideration. But I wanted to get a little bit deeper into this hack, and I got another article about it here, and it's on nysscpa.org. Hackers make off with $40 million in Bitcoin after Tuesday night heist. This is by Chris Gaetano. That could go either way. I'm going to say yes, penis. This is authored May 8th, 2019. Cryptocurrency exchange Binance has reported that hackers were able to break into its systems and steal some $40 million worth of Bitcoin, as well as some user information that people used to log into their accounts, according to CNBC. Oh my god, of all them? Let's get into their article. Fuck these people. This is by Arjun Karpal. I keep my ad blocker on. Fuck you. I can read it without the ads on there. Anyway, it's on CNBC CNBC.com. Hackers steal over $40 million of Bitcoin from one of the world's largest cryptocurrency exchanges. And this is by, again, Arjun Karpal. It was published 10:40 p.m. Eastern Time. Continuing. Hackers have stolen over $40 million of Bitcoin from Binance, one of the largest cryptocurrency exchanges, the company said on Tuesday. Binance said the hackers ran off with over 7,000 Bitcoin and used a variety of attack methods to carry out the, quote, large-scale security breach, which occurred on Tuesday. Security breach. I would wager that the way, and this, I'm just going to say this right now before we get into the article. I haven't read the article, and this is probably a little more information than I've already had on the subject, but I'll say this, that I would wager that it was one of the Binance developers, either his Gmail account or his GitHub account was compromised. Continuing on. They also managed to get some user information, such as two-factor authentication codes, which are required to log into a Binance account. The cryptocurrency exchange was able to trace the stolen Bitcoin to a single wallet, it said. Quote, the hackers had the patience to wait and execute well-orchestrated actions through multiple seemingly independent accounts at the most opportune time, Binance said in a statement. Quote, the transaction is structured in a way that passed our existing security checks. It was unfortunate that we were not able to block this withdrawal before it was executed. Once executed, the withdrawal triggered various alarms in our system. We stopped all withdrawals immediately after that. Binance said the theft occurred from the company's so-called, quote, hot wallet, which accounts for about 2% of its total Bitcoin holdings. A wallet is a digital means of storing cryptocurrency. A hot wallet is one that is connected to the internet as opposed to a, quote, cold one, which stores digital coins offline. Deposits and withdrawals on Binance's platform will remain suspended, but trading will be allowed. Binance also warned that, quote, hackers may still control certain user accounts and may use those to influence prices. However, the company said it will cover the incident in full and no user's funds will be affected. The hack comes after a recent rally in Bitcoin. The price of the digital coin is about 9% higher over the past week. That's pretty cool. Anyway, yeah, so there you have it. The problem with custodians is these issues. But you've got to look at it and wonder exactly what the depth of the attack was. And I've got a couple other articles. Maybe it'll give us a little more insight into that. That one we covered. That one was the extension of that one. So that's double covered. Let's see. We covered that one. I don't think we got to this one yet. This one's on Gizmodo. And hopefully it'll give us a little more depth. And this is by Tom McKay, one of the world's largest cryptocurrency exchanges. Binance hacked to the tune of 40 million. Let's see here. Oh, wait, this is from a Bloomberg report. So we're not going to give Gizmodo the credit. Hackers steal 40 million of Bitcoin from Binance Exchange. This is by Eric Lamb, authored May 7th, 2019 at 6:56 p.m. PDT, updated May 8th, 2:56 a.m. PDT. Binance, one of the world's largest cryptocurrency exchanges, said hackers withdrew 7,000 Bitcoins worth about 40 million via a single transaction in a, quote, very large-scale security breach, the latest in a long line of thefts in the digital currency space. The hackers used a, quote, variety of techniques, including phishing and viruses, to obtain a large amount of user data, Binance said in a post on its website. So that's where we're going to go next. Here we go. This is on Binance's website. So, I'm sorry, I needed to really winnow it down to this. I like original sources. So, Binance security breach update. This is 1 day ago by Binance. We have discovered a large-scale security breach today, May 7th, 2019 at 1715:24 UTC. The hackers were able to obtain a large number of user API keys, 2FA codes, and potentially other info. The hackers used a variety of techniques, including phishing, viruses, and other attacks. We are concluding all possible methods used. There may also be additional affected accounts that have not been identified yet. The hackers were able to withdraw 7,000 Bitcoin in this one transaction, and then they give us a blockchain.info or .com rather address. The above transaction is the only affected transaction. It impacted our Bitcoin hot wallet only, which contained about 2% of our total holdings. All other wallets are secure and unharmed. Funds are SAFU. The hackers had the patience to wait and execute well-orchestrated actions through multiple seemingly independent accounts at the most opportune time. The transaction is structured in a way that passed our existing security checks. It was unfortunate that we were unable to block this withdrawal before it was executed. Once executed, the withdrawal triggered various alarms in our system. We stopped all withdrawals immediately after that. And we got the SAFU part. We must conduct a thorough security review. The security review will include all parts of our systems and data, which is large. We estimate that this will take 1 week. We will post updates frequently as we progress. Most importantly, deposits and withdrawals will need to remain suspended during this period of time We beg for your understanding in this difficult situation. We will continue to enable trading so that you may adjust your positions if you wish. Please also understand that the hackers may also control certain user accounts and may use those to influence the prices in the meantime. We will monitor the situation closely, but we believe with withdrawals disabled, there isn't much incentive for hackers to influence markets. In this difficult time, we strive to maintain transparency and would appreciate your support. Or would be appreciative of your support. PSI CZ will remain previously scheduled to Twitter AMA in a couple of hours. Yeah, so that's cool that they're going to be really, transparent about the whole situation, as they have been. But here is the thing. I am most curious which users in particular were impacted. Because they say that this is a well-orchestrated attack. Okay, so that means that the individuals involved either had intimate knowledge through working for Binance, or again, through the curated data on GitHub, or as this was a quote-unquote multi-pronged, sophisticated, orchestrated attack. That says to me that, again, the hack was at the developer level, and it was either through the GitHub account or through their personal Gmail accounts or other accounts. And I don't know if it was either an inside hack from Google, an inside hack from Microsoft at GitHub, but the attacker had the ability to compare data and set up the attack in such a way that they were able to circumvent two-factor authentication, which means they had phone numbers, they had source emails that were associated with those phone numbers, and they'd already modified the phone numbers. Okay? That's pretty much the way that they compromise 2FAs. They SIM swap your phone number, okay, to a phone that they control, and then they change the 2FA phone number for the account, but they have to compromise the Binance account first. So, they change the Gmail account so you don't receive any notification. They change that first. So chances are they probably compromised Gmail first, or whichever email service provider they had, the individuals concerned. I personally, if I were doing the security review, would look for a plurality of users with any specific service or account structure. So, if they're all US Bank, okay, you can look back to the customer service for US Bank and or tellers at US Bank, and there would be a possible internal link there. But do not look outside of your own scope of employees before you start venturing outward, because the threat is most likely still within the organization if you overlook that by, just conceit or arrogance. It can't be one of our people. Greed is a hell of a motivator, kids, and it affects everybody. I've outlined the low-hanging fruit on this episode, but do not place your next door neighbor developer above reproach on this one, because that is the type of attack that was executed here. I would argue it's not very likely that it's Binance itself, but the data of the employees. Look for a plurality of any kind of accounts that they have. Do they all have a GitHub account? Do they all store their data and their notes on GitHub? Did they have any customer service contact with GitHub lately? Did multiple of them? These are the kinds of questions that you need to be asking, kids. This is the way that you find out how they staged an orchestrated, sophisticated, multi-pronged attack and ganked 7,000 fucking Bitcoin from you. It's offensive to me that I, a grunt level customer service agent who's got just a little bit of background through articles and whatnot, can come up with that kind of analysis of this situation just from articles that I'm reading of the hack itself. And that they apparently cannot or have not disclosed as much. It could be that the information itself is just that damaging. You know, it's like some COO or some other chief level executive level motherfucker that said, you know what, this shit's going to go downhill because of this tether thing. I'm going to fucking get what I can before I get out the door. This is how I'm going to do it. You know, 7,000 Bitcoin, we got away with that kind of thing earlier, you know, and nobody shot us for the 7,000 Bitcoin loss. So, what the hell? Let's do it again. Hey, you know, I hate being that cynical, but time in crypto will do that to you. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw back down into some music. And I think this one kind of describes our age. Century of the Narcissist by Sixth, here on Coin Metal. And that was Within the Ruins with New Holy War. Yeah, and it is with that. We got to close this one out. You know, it just goes to show you that the places where your money in crypto is the most at risk are no different than the ones where it's most at risk with regard to fiat currencies. There's no lessons that shouldn't have been learned with your credit card, you know, that you're not experiencing right now. You know, if anybody had ever gotten a hold of your credit card and done some transaction that kind of wrecked you or whatever, same thing. You know, that there are certain things that you can do in this hyper surveillance age to make yourself more secure. Use the data to your advantage. It doesn't necessarily have to be the truth. You just got to be able to repeat it. You know, if you do yourself a favor and, like, you know, save it away on some document or whatnot. But have it available if you have to, you know, demonstrate to somebody, yes, I am actually this person, and yes, I can actually access that account without any issue. And as long as you can do that, you'll be alright. Like I said, you don't have to give them the whole truth, just enough of the truth to get by. And as far as our last dance is concerned, as usual, I haven't picked anything out. So I'm kind of scrolling, see what we can find that'll work for us. And I think this one will do. Wayne Static Killer, Last Dance. And as far as when we'll be back, we will be back again on Friday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And so until then, I want y'all to trade safe, do your homework, and watch out for your own bunghole, because nobody else is going to do it for you. They're not even going to roll back the blockchain to cover your silly ass in the event that you get wrecked. And it is with that I'd like to close this one out. Thank you very, very much for listening. I certainly do appreciate the support. You all have an excellent evening. Last Dance, Static Killer by Wayne Static here on Coin Metal. Good night.